Welcome. I'm Rhonda Luchavansky in Procurement Services, and this is a video on contract management, website, and paper forms. Several changes have been made to the independent contractor process as of July 1st. For YSU purposes, independent contractors are individuals being paid under their own name and Social Security number. Businesses are paid through professional service agreements and will be discussed in a later video. Paper documents will still need to be prepared, but the documents for a one-time payment to an individual and several payments to an individual will be processed through eCube. This also will be discussed in later videos. All contract documents can be found on Procurement Services webpage at www.ysu.edu/procure under the Contract Management tab. The new Independent Contractor Guide has been updated as of July 1st. This is a 9-page document and is definitely worth reading. In the overview, you will notice that it says an independent contractor will receive payment within 30 days of the completion of services. We have moved to these terms for all of our vendors, so we have eliminated the request for having a check ready at the time of services. The checks also will be mailed directly to the independent contractor's address on file, so it's important to make sure that's correct. Just a reminder that any forms that contain a Social Security number, such as the OPERS acknowledgement form, must be securely stored or destroyed after the electronic version is created. In the guide, we have signature authority levels. Payment $1,000 or less, department chair or director, between $1,000 and $125, college dean and executive director, payment of $2,501 or more, divisional vice president or provost. Some departments follow these signature levels. Some require that all 3 levels sign off, and you'll see that on the cover sheet. Just a reminder here that independent contractors are charged to account code 701-805, fees and services. There's also a little guide of who to contact if you have questions. We have 3 different ways that we will pay an independent contractor, and that hasn't changed. We have a one-time payment to an individual. We have several payments to an individual. And we also have a method to pay payment authorization form for multiple paid list. This process will stay with the paper forms and be the same as it was before, except that the payment authorization form and the multiple payee list are now on one spreadsheet on 2 different tabs, and you'll see that if you go to the document. Another change that's been made that's significant has to do with travel. In the past, we paid a travel reimbursement and collected receipts. We're no longer doing that. We can pay a travel allowance, but you will put $1 amount on the contract document and also on the electronic form in eCube. So the amount will include what you're going to pay the independent contractor for services and travel. So we're no longer collecting receipts or adjusting their 1099. Also in the guide, it talks a little bit more about employee versus independent contractor guidelines. We have that EVC checklist that we fill out, and you'll see that it's included now in the SECA packet. The OPERS Independent Contractor Acknowledgement, that's a new form we started working with in January, and it must be included with every independent contractor. We've put in the guide now a detailed description of what needs to be included on that form, so this guide will help you. Name of employer, employer contact, even our employer code now is in the guide, and a little bit of instruction on non-resident alien general procedures. Okay. On our website too, we also have what's called a quick guide, and a lot of people have liked this in the past. And this is just a condensed version of what's in the guide, and it's in pictorial form. So it'll tell you what forms do I need to complete, again, for the one-time payment to an individual, who signs, what do I do next, the electronic approvals, and how the vendor gets paid. Then we have a separate page for the several payments to an individual. Same thing, same type of information, and a one-time payment to several individuals, that multiple payee list again. So same detail there. Okay, the OPERS Independent Contractor Acknowledgement Form, like I said, you're going to have at least these two forms, this one and the SECA packet, for every independent contractor. The OPERS form, like I said, it must be completed. It's going to have the independent contractor social security number on, so you have to safeguard that. Here's where you would complete all the information that I said is in the guide. Services, whatever services they're providing needs to be detailed start and end date of service, and they need to sign this. And what this form does is it notifies the independent contractor that YSU is paying you as an independent contractor, and they are not going to withhold any retirement contributions or make any retirement contributions on your behalf. Although the independent contractor still has a right to request OPERS to make a determination that maybe they should have been classified as an employee. The other paper document that needs to be completed and signed by the independent contractor is the SECA packet. And we've combined the cover sheet, this used to be the cover sheet, the SECA packet, the SECA agreement itself, and the EBC checklist all in one document. Now, when you enter the information on the SECA agreement, you will be able to use this for your data entry for your electronic form in eCube. Now, it's very important here, you're going to mark single payment or multiple payment. It tells you exactly which form you need to complete in eCube. You will put the independent contractor's name here and their address here. And remember, I said it's very important to make sure their address is correct because that's the address that their check will be mailed to. Now I'm going to show you here in a second how you can look up that vendor in eCube, one, to make sure they exist. If they don't exist, then you can send them the new vendor information form along with these paper documents when you send them to get signed. And when the contractor returns that form to you, make sure you get it over to Procurement Services to get them set up in the system so that you'll be able to generate that electronic form. Okay, scope of services, description of services. If it's too long, you can attach a separate document. The date of the service might be the same day, the begin and end date, if it's like a one-time performance. The costs for services, remember I said this should include both fees and services and travel if you're going to compensate them for any travel expenses. This page is our standard contract language. This page is where they will sign. If they have a banner ID number, you can put it there. Make sure you check yes or no for U.S. citizen. If no, they might require some more documentation. Is the independent contractor a YSU retiree? Two things Human Resources is going to look for when they review is one, to make sure they're not a current employee because we can't pay a current employee as an independent contractor, and two, are they a YSU retiree? Because there's a law that if YSU pays a YSU retiree as an independent contractor, that retiree will lose their retirement for that month. Now they could go to Kent or Akron or anywhere else. It's just they can't be an independent contractor for YSU since they retired from YSU. You would then make sure you fill out this EBC checklist. Like I said, make sure it's accurate because this is what Human Resources uses to determine that that person is properly classified. And we don't want to make the mistake of misclassifying an independent contractor as an independent contractor if they should have been classified as an employee. Once this is completed, you can either email it to the vendor, you can fax it to the vendor, you can send it by regular mail, but they need to print it out and sign this document with their physical signature. Once they sign the document, they will return it to you and you will send it for the YSU signature that's required on this document. Like I said, some departments require all 3 signature levels. They don't go according to these dollar amounts, and or they might just require you to have the cover sheet signed, and then whoever the highest level is may sign on behalf of YSU. Once the signature is obtained for YSU, they will return it to the department. The department should scan this document and the OPERS document in and save them on their desktop, because later on in a different video I'm going to show you how you're going to process these electronically. Okay, so those 2 documents for every independent contractor, the one-time payment or several payments to an individual, you must complete these 2 forms, the SECA packet and the OPERS acknowledgement form. All right, one last thing. When you log into eCube, you'll be on the Home Shop page. Here under this box there is Browse. You can browse suppliers. So now you can go in and you can look them up, and you can do this, like I said, before you send them the paper contract, just to make sure they even exist as a vendor in eCube. It will bring up all the vendors. Click to expand search for a filter, and then just type in the person's name. I'm going to look for Julie Miller, and she does exist. And if I click on her name, here's her address, here's her banner ID number, and her name. Now if I look at this and I realize this is not the correct address, I need to get this updated. You will send an email to Procurement Services, and there's a lot of hints in eCube on how to do this. But make sure you include this banner ID number with the email. Julie Miller, banner ID number Y00523406, needs her address updated to whatever, and send that. And they will get the address updated and notify you that that address is now available, so that when you go to enter the electronic form in eCube, you will be entering the correct address. And I believe that's all for this video. There will be a couple more videos. There will be a video on entering a one-time payment for an independent contractor. There will be a video on standing orders for independent contractors. There will be another video on professional service agreements, and then a wrap-up video on document search and comments and any other miscellaneous items. Thank you.